First of all, I want to extend also a cordial welcome to all here present and to all our listeners at radio station WAOB, We Are One Body, who are joining us today at Blessed Sacrament Cathedral in the Diocese of Greensburg. How appropriate it is that we celebrate the installation of newly elected Pope Francis I on the feast of St. Joseph, because Joseph is the patron and protector of the universal church. The Pope's election is a sign that the Lord, in his loving providence, continues to provide for his church. In founding his church, the Lord Jesus gave two indications of what founding that church on the apostles meant. He said to Peter, the very name means rock. He said to Peter, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld will never prevail against it." Jesus likewise said to his apostles, "He who hears you hears me." In electing Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio, the cardinals were not participating in some kind of political convention, but rather delivering on divine providence itself. This is truly a moment for us to be proud to be Catholic. There is no public figure in this world who can and does attract the enormous crowds the Holy Father does. For instance, Pope John Paul II's funeral, with over 4 million people in Rome for that occasion, was the largest funeral in recorded human history. Last Sunday, when Pope Francis opened the windows of his study at noon simply to pray the Angelus with the people in St. Peter's Square, there were about 200,000 people on the square to greet him. And today, for his official installation in the Petrine ministry, about 250,000 people were expected in Rome. "On this rock I will build my church," Jesus said to Peter. Yes, Francis, who is Peter, makes us proud to be Catholics. Recently, the new Pope was described by one political commentator as the 266th conservative Pope. The agenda at the conclave was not that of a political convention, nor from the secular culture, but rather based on the gospel of Jesus Christ and the faith and the values which come from it. At the Vatican, beneath the main altar in St. Peter's Basilica, is the tomb of St. Peter, which immediately after the death of Peter became a place of prayer and pilgrimage. During archaeological excavations around the tomb, scientists discovered a wall, and one of the things scratched on that wall by a pilgrim over 1,000 years ago was this Latin inscription: Ubi Petrus, ibi Ecclesia. Where Peter is, there is the church. This very succinctly describes the role of the successors of Peter in the church as its chief shepherds and authentic teachers, because they stand in not just for Peter, but also for Jesus Christ himself. They are consequently, as they are also called, the vicar of Christ on earth. There is consequently no liberal or conservative pope, as if one were as good as the other, and it just happens now that the so-called conservatives, so to speak, have the upper hand in determining the agenda. To say the 266th conservative pope would likewise seem to imply that the Pope is just one more voice among many other valid opinions in the Church. Just take your pick. No, of him the Lord said, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." It isn't therefore a matter of a biased agenda or one opinion among many other equally valid positions. The Pope, the successor of Peter, as vicar of Christ, has a very special claim on our loyalty and our religious obedience in matters of faith and morals, because, as the Lord himself said, "He who hears you hears me."